Hey, Reliability Gang, I'm Jonathan Guinan.
And I'm Brendan Russ, and welcome to Reliability Radio, a JLL production and ReliabilityWeb.com media brand.
So, Brendan, one thing we haven't talked too much about this week is the journey.
Starting that journey is getting people to agree on where we need to go and what we need to do together as an organization.
There's lots of hearts and minds out there throughout an entire organization. Sometimes it's tough to navigate.
And forget navigate. Sometimes it's hard to identify what it is, believe it or not. Everybody's got a different opinion of where they want to go and where they want to be.
Yeah, sometimes that's the complexity. So with us today, we got Greg Elliott from JLL. Greg, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, gentlemen.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am Greg Elliott. Like you said, I work for JLL. Currently, I'm the technical services lead for a global Fortune 100 organization where we deliver maintenance, facility maintenance and strategy for all of their infrastructure equipment across the world. It's a big, daunting job, lots of opportunities to improve and to change. And I'm just starting the journey, and I'm really looking forward to the challenges ahead of me.
So how do you deal when you walk into a new situation like that? So you're coming on, you have a global client, right? Highly recognizable
technology client.
Yes, global technology client. Yes.
And you have to, and they think they already know what they need to do. And you come in and you look at the ground, you talk with your guys, and you're like, okay, we need to start this or go here.
And let's add the complexity that they've already been in the seat for about a year, right?
2 years, actually.
2 years, Greg.
Yes. So JLL has been in the seat for 2 years. I come in and the client says, you've done a good job, but there's a lot that needs to be done still yet. And they're looking for us to be the experts, not to take their direction and not to take what it is that they had done previously. They knew what they were doing wasn't working. That's why they hired us. And they don't feel like we've been able to really bring a certain level of expertise to them. So my number one focus is let's understand where you are in the journey. Let's understand what some of our base requirements are. And then let's help us all get out of the everyday, the weeds, like we like to call it, so that we can really start to focus on where we want to go, what's next, how do we improve, continuous improvement, what we talk about with reliability on a consistent basis.
So how would you go about getting that started, right? I mean, you can use a simple parable. It's hard to drive forward if you're too busy looking in the rear view.
Correct.
But how do you get them to start doing that? If they're looking at every day and they're running around with 2x4s and fire extinguishers, how are you going to get them to take a moment and take a breath and look at what's going to happen tomorrow?
One of the biggest things I try to focus in on is process. How are we going to address the situations that are in front of us? Too often, it's a lot of firefighting. This is not right, that's wrong. And when we get into that reactionary mode on a consistent basis, everything becomes a fire. And no one can do anything what I call cool. We can't do anything that's forward-looking. We're always looking in the rearview mirror or always like dealing with stamping out the fire that's next to us versus being able to really try to drive forward. So we really, really have to drive process and procedure. And as an engineer, my mind is very binary, right? 0, 1, left, right.
Black and white,
right? This is how it's going to be. And, I love my wife and she tells me all the time, like, people have feelings and I get that. But sometimes I don't really care about your feelings.
Well, when you don't have any feelings yourself, Greg,
correct.
It's tough to know that anybody else does.
I have a cold heart. I'm like Elsa in what's that movie? Anyways,
Frozen. Come on,
yeah,
we all have
thank
kids.
you.
He's so jaded by that movie.
Yeah,
he's watched it 70 million times.
I have a cold heart. Like it's the cold doesn't bother me anymore. So it's do what it is that we need to do because we have places that we need to go. So it drives me a little crazy when we have to get to a certain place, but I also have to take a step back and ensure that I'm getting people on board. But that's what leadership is all about. And I was asked to come into this role to provide that level of leadership that is necessary to get people on board. And it can't always be a push in the back, right? It has to be I'm going to go out and lead the charge. Let me show you the change that I want to see in the organization. So really going out, giving everybody the why. Why are we doing this? Why it's important? And here's how we're going to do it. And then do it with process, with procedure, and really showing up personally and helping the people, everyone in the field, to see what it is that's necessary, why we want to do it, and what the benefit is for all of us in the long term. Our goal is not to have a short-term relationship with our clients, right? Some of our biggest clients that we've had at JLL, we've had for 10, 15, 20 years, right? We build the relationship with them. We build our organization with them, in tandem with them. And whenever we have a client like what we have, a major technology client that we just brought on board, we've been working with them for 2 years, the goal is not to get through the contract cycle. The goal is to have that relationship for 10, 15, 20 years, right? Well beyond me. But we need to lay the groundwork for how we get there.
Yeah, and I think that's really important, right? Whenever you get into a client relationship, 2-3 years doesn't move the needle, right?
Correct.
It's 5, it's 10, it's 15. You're fully embedded. Both organizations are totally synced up. You've had those tough conversations. You've gotten over that hump, and now you got momentum to take this to do cool things.
Correct. Yeah, and one of the biggest things, and we're here at IMC, and I just sat in a session where a gentleman was talking about maintenance strategies across, a multi-site portfolio. And one of the things he said that I'm going to steal and use all the time is intent before content. So understanding what the intent is. And again, the why, it kind of ties back to the why. If no one's ever read Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why, it really helps kind of change my life, honestly, and how it is that I approach work and different things that I do. But understanding the why and understanding the intent. And once everyone understands that, then we can go into the content, right? And I know that for me it's difficult to sometimes be the person who's trying to tell you how you feel, or like listen to how you feel and why it's hard. And I just want you to do what it is that I tell you to do. But I understand also the other side of that is you have to help people and bring them along in the journey.
Hold on. So you're saying you're not the Tin Man?
I am, but I also have a wife and children who have helped me to not be the Tin Man.
He's got that little ticker now inside.
Yes,
That's what he's got.
I do.
That's good. So what's next, right? I mean, like you said, you just went through a personal change yourself, coming into this different role. Like, how are you approaching it? What are some of the things that you're taking away from IMC this week to actually move that needle when you get back home? So
like I talked about, it's process and procedure. One thing, another session we sat in, someone said something else. It was, he said standardization, scale, and speed. So one of the biggest things that I want to be focusing on next is that standardization. Is how are we going to do whatever it is that we do? How are we going to collect assets? How are we going to validate assets? How are we going to build maintenance procedures? How are we going to define what is a critical asset versus what is, a not critical asset? And really build that standardization. Again, build the process so that we can have that standardization. Once that is done, and we can't do it for everywhere, but we have to focus in on either a site or a subset of assets or a building and really drive and hammer that home, then we can do the speed part next, right? If we've identified an asset as critical, what are we not doing that we need to be doing? And we need to do that quickly. If we've identified it as a non-critical asset, what are we doing that we shouldn't be doing? And we need to do that quickly. And I think that helps drive some of the maintenance strategy and even some potential savings, which is, usually, again, why our customers hire us, and drive some of those savings so that we can show that to the client, and then we can scale that. Once we standardize it and we move quickly, we can start to say, hey, this worked at site ABC. Let's now go do it, across North America. Let's push it into Latin America. Let's do it in Europe. Let's do it in Asia Pacific. So lots of opportunities to standardize, speed to delivery, and then scale it up from there.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about that within JLL for a long time, and I think we're at a point now where we've got to reshape how we get into some of these engagements, really thinking about it's great that we tend to go out there and suck everything that a client may have into our system, but it's disparate, it's different, it's not aligned, it doesn't have the data points you need. We've done a lot of work over the last 7 or 8 years to redefine what those strategies look like, get them into the system the right way so they feed out that data set back to you in a standardized format, right? And then get to that standardization, like you said, and then use the data that you start to build to actually progress to something future.
Yeah.
So we heard a couple of things, right? We got to get them on the journey. We got to figure out the why first.
Yes.
We have intent, not content, standardized, scale, speed. So a lot
Process
of little
and procedure.
Yep. A lot of little helpful little parables here to kind of learn. So as we start to wind this down, help pull this all together, Greg. Help me pull all that together. How do we get that to a place that actually just gets that journey done?
Yeah. The how we get to that place is going to take change management. It's going to take us really leaning in and helping shape the hearts and minds of everyone that is going to be part of the journey, engaging with all the stakeholders, ensuring that they understand, again, the why we're doing this. We have a unique challenge in that a lot of the JLL is unique in that let me take a quick step back. When we outsource, when a company outsources their facilities and real estate management services to a company like JLL, typically a lot of the employees that were working for or directly for that organization then come over and transition to work for now JLL. When that happens, we tend to inherit a lot of old ways of doing things. We've done it this way. This is how I've been in here for 10, 15 years. This is the standard way. It's always worked this way, blah, blah, blah. So truly going through that change management journey, really truly changing the hearts and minds of all of the individuals that are working in the sites, that is where it starts. And that's the biggest hurdle that you have to jump over. Because if you can't do that, it doesn't matter what you do. I can put the best process out there. And if I put it in front of chief engineer who's been running that site for 15 years and he goes, this is trash, I'll never use this, right? What's the point of it?
You already lost.
It's over, right? It's over. So I really have to build that in tandem with that chief engineer and say, hey, man, we or woman, we really need to change the way we're doing this. That's why we're here. And I need you to help lead that journey, help lead and guide us, because you're the heart and soul of this site. You are the reason that, the things operate the way that they do. But I also know that there can be better ways of doing it. And let's work together and collaborate on how we get there. That's the change management journey that we're going to start on. And again, it's going to be a lot of work, and I'm really excited about it. I'll be honest, I don't have all the answers. I have a team that I'm going to be leaning on hard. At JLL, we have a team.
You got friends out there, man.
We have friends. We'll be leaning on Brendan's he's on my favorites list on my cell phone. I'll be calling and reaching out to him.
At least I know where I stand.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Jonathan.
Don't be jealous. Don't be jealous.
You're there too, but I respect you more than Brendan. So that's why
I'm the one that's going to get the call at 2 a.m.
That's right. Hey, this failed, Brendan. I blame you. You need to go fix it. No, I'm playing. But like I said, it's going to take a team, and I'd be lying if I didn't say that there's trepidation, there's anxiety, right? It's going to be tough. It's going to be scary. It's going to be hard. But I also am excited about the opportunity. I'm excited about where we will be in a year, because it will not be where we are today.
Yeah, I just think it's really cool, right? We talk a lot about the silver tsunami and the age gap, and people leaving the organization as they're retiring and going on to the next phases in their careers. It's nice to see younger people coming into these large engineering roles yourself. It's just really cool as an organization to have a little bit of more progressive thought leadership in these roles to take us to the next level. So really excited for you, man. And like I said, I'm here for you.
Appreciate that.
And with that, we'll go ahead and take this episode down to a close. So we want to thank you, Greg, for joining us today on the podcast. And for everybody else out there, we'll catch you next time on Reliability Radio.